I want to welcome you to the Our Revolution Helena program on Helena Civic TV. My name is Frank Kromkowski. I'm a member of Our Revolution Helena. We're a group that was founded back in May of 2015 as Helena for Bernie Sanders, and we've continued ever since that time, addressing issues of conscience, human need, and the grave issues of our time. We've had 9 shows. This is our 10th. We've addressed issues such as gun control, the healthcare crisis in the United States, the Trump administration and some of its horrible activities. And today what we're going to look at is some issues that are tremendous issues of conscience concerning immigration, what's happening down on the US border, and as well as in Montana, to immigrants who are being abused, it seems pretty clear, by the Trump administration and its agencies. So today our guests are Jordon and Daisy Dyrdahl-Roberts, who have been very active in local efforts to call attention to these issues of conscience concerning immigration. And I'm going to turn it over to Jordon to start us off, to tell us a little bit about what those issues are as you see them, and what you think we need to know about those issues.
Well, I think one of the main points people need to understand is our immigration system has been broken for a long time. And it's really come to a head under the Trump administration. He's taken a system that was already cruel and sort of dialed that up to 11. Because we had family detention for a while. That was not a great system. But under his new zero tolerance policy, it's treating everyone who comes here as a criminal. People who come here seeking asylum, what you're supposed to be able to do is come to a port of entry and say, I'm here to seek asylum. What they're doing now is treating that as though you are a criminal. And it's heartbreaking that now, as we're filling these detention centers, separating families, we just had, there was a 1-year-old girl who just released from ICE detention who died because there's no care there. These aren't, as opposed to what some have been calling them, summer camps. These are prison camps where we're sending children. And it is hard to understand how people like working in immigration right now can just sort of stand by and let this happen. It's hard because I think a lot of people tend to think of government agencies as sort of these faceless entities, and then people within those agencies tend to think of themselves as just a cog in the machine. And I think we really need to understand these are decisions being made by people, and these people can make a different choice.
Okay. And Daisy, what's your perspective, and why are you concerned about this issue?
Well, I'm also concerned about just the idea of prison camps for children. That's really upsetting. And the progressive nature that the decline in our immigration system has taken, just the way it started out bad and has gotten worse and worse and worse. And honestly, the more we find out, the worse it gets. And I just want people to know that you do have a choice. You don't have to stand there and just follow orders. And we talk about ICE because they're the ones who are separating families throughout the nation. But of course, there's CPB who separates families at the border. But we also need to talk about USCIS, which is the United States Customs and Immigration Services, which is in charge of naturalization, but also now denaturalization. The Trump administration has put together a task force dedicated to denaturalizing people who are citizens and then deporting them. So that's...
So these sound like pretty ominous kinds of things. And just in terms of numbers of children who've been separated from their parents, when they're coming for asylum, 3,000?
That we know of, and that's the really disturbing thing, is that it was, we sort of knew it wasn't true when he was saying it, but Trump talked about how this was going to be the most transparent administration ever, and they're not. So getting numbers and stuff is a little difficult. So we don't know exactly how many families are being separated. And then we also, like, in these facilities, like, when something goes wrong, the record keeping isn't great. Well, like, for instance, when we tried to reunify families, we found they hadn't kept any sort of record. They hadn't done anything as simple as, like, oh, this kid goes with this parent. So that was part of the scramble when the judge finally ordered the Trump administration, like, no, reunite the families. Then they said, oh, well, we've reunited all the eligible families, because some they'd already deported the parents with obviously no plan. And that's obviously no plan for reunification. That's a willful negligence on their part. And
so if we were to have something like this happen in Montana with the Child Protective Services, for example, there maybe are 3,600 children in foster care. But if there were no records kept about which kids belonged to which families, where they were, and no plan for reunification, which is the law in Montana, and the federal law for children in foster care, those workers and those heads of the Montana government who are doing those kinds of things would be in front of judges begging not to be put into jail. And how many people in the Trump administration have been even corrected for the activities that they've done to these families and these children?
We have a couple indictments regarding the Russia investigation, but as far as this is concerned, no one's paid a price. There are agents on the ground, CBP agents and ICE agents, who have been arrested for unrelated charges. There's been a lot of CBP agents arrested for corruption and violence, but like when it comes to this particular policy, we haven't seen any sort of legal ramifications for what they're doing.
So what are we to do about this now? We're here in Montana. There certainly are immigration issues in Montana, but a lot of the children are in McAllen, Texas, or in other places, or somewhere where we don't know, or being shipped from Texas to New York City. And who knows if they'll ever see their parents again. What are we supposed to do about this?
Well, I think part of it is there are a lot of people right now who are asking this question, like, what can I do? And what we need to do is, one, I am not trying to discourage people from voting. No, go out, vote in November, please. Please vote in November. Bring a friend. Give your elderly neighbor a ride to the polling station. But while your vote is powerful, it's not your only power.
As a citizen.
Yeah, as a citizen. That's one of the reasons we have we've been trying to organize some local actions. We had a brief little demonstration outside the Helena USCIS office, and we're planning future actions because we want to be able to draw attention to the fact that they're here making these decisions, and their decisions have a knock-on effect because it's ICE is breaking up families, CBP is breaking up families, but like Daisy said, USCIS is the one making these decisions. Who's a citizen?
Yeah.
So there is a USCIS, U.S.
Customs and
Immigration Service office here in Helena.
There is, yes.
Okay. They used to be over by the airport, but now they've moved. But it's in Helena, and the thing of it is, locally, not a lot of people know it exists. And I think nationally, there's been some attention drawn to their activities, but since it's, these decisions are made by somebody sitting behind a desk. And while the news covers an ice raid, like you can get some really great pictures of somebody tearing a family apart. You know, that'll look really great on a front page. It's a little less
Compelling?
compelling to see somebody behind a desk.
Filling out paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's those decisions that are leading people to break up families.
Now I know, Jordon, that when you were working for the state, you had a chance to respond to something that was happening. I'd like you to just tell a little bit about that, so that you can show the people that you don't have to sit around and go along with the parade when the parade's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I was working for the Montana Department of Labor, and one day an attorney came and told me, "Oh, by the way, keep an eye out for these ICE subpoenas coming in." And I sort of hadn't been paying fully attention, and realized that, wait a minute, ICE? You meant like immigration, ICE. And I had decided, like, no, I can't do that. I knew, and this was back in February, and I knew kind of where this was going. I knew that request would definitely be used to hunt down people who have just been working, because they weren't. I wasn't working at like the Department of Justice. They weren't looking for someone with a criminal record. They were just looking for somebody here. And the thing of it is that they were obviously just going after random families, random people, just working here in Montana. And so I said, I can't do that. And it was disappointing, because basically there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, I support your decision." It's like, "Oh, so you're gonna or are we still gonna go forward with this?" "Oh, well, yeah, we're still gonna answer the request." It's like, okay. I was offered a couple, like they said, "Well, can we move you to somewhere else in the department? Can we wait?" And I was like, again, the question was, are we going to comply with this request? Well, yes. I was like, well, I can't stay. It was kind of scary. It wasn't an easy choice. I mean,
No, we had like $600 in the bank, and that was our insurance. And I was still in school, so that was our main source of income. But that wasn't something that could participate in. That wasn't something that could be.
I called her
involved in.
Before I quit my job. I called my wife and I was saying, "I've been asked to process these subpoenas. I don't think I can do this." I was expecting a conversation, because we weren't rolling in it. And she had school, we had bills, and she just said, "Okay." And so since then, that's what we've been doing since then, is trying to.
And one of the things that surprised us and also was really touching and amazing was that when that happened, we figured we would have to sort of scramble to both find jobs, like just any job, whatever job, immediately, and just make things work as best we could. But instead, this whole community, not just Helena, although a lot of people in Helena supported us, but throughout the nation, and even some people internationally, donated money. They helped Jordon travel to participate in activism events in other places. And it's just been amazing to have all of this support. And I just want people to know that if you are in a position where someone is giving you these orders that are awful, and you know that they're awful, and you think, well, I'm just gonna wait out this administration and then things will go back to normal, you're still participating in the awful things that are happening, and you don't have to. And if you tell people, no, I'm not gonna do this, I'm saying this is wrong, people will be there to support you.
So you decided essentially to not filter your conscience through 15 filters, to find 15 different excuses to go along with ICE. the Immigration Cruelty Enforcement Group, whose real name is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, but it sounds like it's cruelty, arbitrary cruelty against immigrants or people who we should see as our neighbors.
Well, and it's what they were looking for is essentially social security numbers. So they would check them and say, oh, like these two don't match up. But the problem is that one, they do these. They don't call them raids but they kind of do these reverse raids. It's like, oh, while we're in the neighborhood, everybody show me your papers. And the thing of it is that can happen from, I mean, they're working off quote unquote tips, which is essentially somebody going, there are too many Mexican people working at this restaurant, so obviously somebody has to be illegal, which isn't great. But then if all they need is one social security number that doesn't match up, but we're also working in a place with human error, so somebody could have either on either end transposed a number, and then you have them going into these places where they just, everybody show me your papers, and they round people up, again, who are just existing.
Yeah. So these are our brothers and sisters who are being unlawfully targeted and wrongly targeted, and that we need to stop this. So I understand that there's going to be some planning meetings that people might want to know about to get involved in to help on this effort?
Yeah, we have it's tomorrow, Friday, at the Methodist Church. We're having an initial planning meeting for our next action around the local USCIS office.
That's August 3rd, Friday, August 3rd.
Yeah, Friday, August 3rd. And this is just first steps. We're going to plan a bit more. We're trying to get as many people involved as possible who want to basically, what we're looking to send is a very clear message, is that you, person working there behind the desk, you don't have to do this. You can say no. You're making a choice. And I think we need to let people know that they have another option. They can say no. And if enough people, because I'm guessing our Helena USCIS office is not big. It wouldn't take many people in that office saying this is wrong for that office to have to change. And then that sends a message to the next office, all the way up the chain, where it's like, if the only reason this continues is because people play along.
And you might remember the old song, one and one makes a million, eventually. And so it's not enough to wait till the million come along, but like you and others saying, let's start now to take action, direct action, to get the people in the local office to start saying no to the Trump administration and these cruel policies that are separating children from families and sending people back into situations where they may, again, lose their lives, whether it's in Guatemala or El Salvador, Honduras, or wherever.
Yeah, no one is going to leave home, is going to leave family behind, is going to leave friends, unless they have to. These aren't people who are just coming here for fun. People are fleeing extreme violence, and this idea that if we make immigration cruel enough, that they'll stop is, I don't want to live in a country where our immigration system is so cruel that someone doesn't want to flee gang violence. That thought is chilling.
It certainly is a challenge to our conscience here in Helena, Montana, and across the country to see that we have a government that has so many people willing to do these things and turn the blind eye to injustices to some of the most vulnerable people. Daisy, do you have anything you'd like to finally say in terms of encouraging the listeners to get involved?
I think I just want to remind people that we're not alone in this, that when you look around and look at the people in your life, think of them as a community, and the people who are coming here from other places should be a part of that community because they make it richer and more interesting, and we can offer safe haven, and we can make a nicer, better, bigger community. We can welcome them. So
And bring those brothers and sisters as immigrants into our community and
yeah,
show them the love they deserve.
yeah.
On that note, I'm going to say we don't have any more time to discuss this issue.
All right.
I would like to invite everyone to that meeting August 3rd 5 p.m. at St. Paul's Methodist Church here in Helena for direct action planning, and also to the next Our Revolution Helena meeting, which is at St. Paul, or not at St. Paul's, but at Plymouth Church on August 9th at 7 p.m. And I want to thank all of you for visiting us here at Our Revolution Helena.